So everyone, welcome to the first Sunday of Advent, Year B. Today, a new church year begins. So happy New Year, everyone. Hooray! Now the calendar year 2020 might not be over yet, but my friends, Year A is over and we've entered Year B. So maybe that can offer us a little bit of comfort. One year has ended and another is beginning. So we start afresh today at the beginning of the church year. We enter Advent, the season of expectation, of longing, and of hope. A season when we look ahead to what is to come, when we dare to name the places of our greatest need and impoverishment, our places of suffering and injustice, because that is just where we trust God will enter. And as you know, Advent is not just counting down the days until Christmas, although who doesn't love a good chocolate Advent calendar? Advent is also the hopeful expectation that God will transform the world. And this, my friends, might be the most Adventy Advent ever. Have we in our lifetimes ever known an Advent so heavy with longings, so weighted with our real need for hope, joy, and peace? Our fears right now are not vague or theoretical. Our world is literally broken and suffering. Our lives are literally upended and disjointed. And we need God to break in. We await God's coming. We await Christ's advent. Now, I love the first couple lines of our reading today. It's a call for God to intervene, to come down and make things right. Oh God, why don't you tear open the heavens and come down? Why don't you break into our lives? Why don't you burst onto the scene and save us? Come in a shocking and decisive way, like when fire sparks, like when water boils. Picture in your mind when you've held a match to balled up newspaper at the campfire or in your fireplace, and you've watched it catch, and the flame springs forth, and that paper is no longer paper. And then the kindling catches fire, and then the logs, and then transformation. Wood, flame, heat, smoke, ash, nothing is the same anymore. When water is placed over heat, it will boil. What was placid and still becomes rolling and alive, even dangerous. Liquid becomes gas, a transformation, water, fire, heat, steam. Nothing is the same. Why don't you come down, God, like you did before? Come to us again and ignite the world with your transformation, with your renewal. In Advent, we wait and we hope for this. We wait for God to arrive, knowing too that God is already here. And yet there's so much in need of salvation right now. So we might wonder, as the ancient Israelites did, is God really here? Is God with us? Is God coming? Why don't you come down, God? Why don't you do something? Why don't you show up? Christopher Davis, dean at the Memphis Theological Seminary, as he reflected on the reading for today, the first Sunday of Advent, Year B, told this story. He remembered years ago when his son was little, maybe 3 years old, taking him to Toys R Us. Remember Toys R Us? There's only 2 stores left, so sad. And again, why you would bring a 3-year-old to a Toys R Us, I have no idea, but that's a question for another day. But there he was in Toys R Us with his young son, and they stood together in an aisle, and Christopher got distracted for a moment looking for something on the shelf, and his young son, as toddlers do, got distracted by something else and ran off. So Christopher, the dad, he looked down and his son was gone. The worried dad looked up and down the aisle, but he couldn't see him. But he wasn't super worried. He couldn't have gone far. It was only a couple of seconds after all. He imagined that he was just right around the corner. And he could see the doors of the store from where he stood, so he knew he hadn't gotten outside. Christopher walked to the end of the aisle and around the corner to look down the next aisle, but his son was not there. He walked to the next aisle and peered down, and then to the next, and the next, and the next. He scanned down the long shelves of toys for his child, but could not find him. Then he started to panic. He found a security guard and asked if they had cameras in the store, and they did. And he asked the guard if they had monitors to see what was on those cameras, and they did. So together they went to the security office and they bent over the monitor. The guard scanned the floor of that enormous Toys R Us store, switching from camera to camera to camera, scanning down aisle after aisle after aisle, until finally they saw him. A little boy, Thomas, sitting on the floor, legs stretched out in front of him, fists balled up in frustration, crying. Christopher asked the guard if the store had a loudspeaker, and they did. He asked the guard to keep the camera focused on his son, and he held the microphone up to his lips, and his voice boomed through the whole enormous store. Thomas! His son paused in his crying and looked up. It's Daddy. His son started looking around in every direction, totally confused. It's Daddy. Don't move. I see you, even though you can't see me. I can see you. Stay where you are. I'm coming. I see you, and I am coming. Oh God, that you would tear open the heavens and come down and join us and save us. It's Advent, so we wait and we hope and we light our candles and we proclaim our trust that God indeed sees us and is coming. Amen.